Alright guys, hello and welcome back to the next episode of our F1 Manager 25 Konnersport career mode. And I'm trying to get my OBS to work. I don't know why it's not working. It's not registering my game audio. We're going to be tapping out for a second here. There we go. Now it's working. Sorry about that. But yeah, we got some worn components going through. We're gonna go through the personnel facility event first. Title, sponsor, loyalty, Jackson focus, mayor focus. Refurbish our fitness center. Let's go ahead. Free refurbishment will help us in the long run. We have early talks with Cali mayor. Finally, we hit Jackson first. We're gonna go into that here shortly and see what we have for events. Let's see, recruitment, creative hiring in your co-op, corporate personnel, engineering. Go engineering, and then a 4-day event. Where do we need to focus though? Where are we lacking in our what is our, it's not the where do I go for that wheel? I don't remember. Is it under development? No. Go ahead and develop that since we do have a handful of more money. That is fine. We'll let's go. Let's go durability. We need the durability. Simulator improvements, powertrain research, aero research. Chassis research, blitz, powertrain development, durability development. Let's go durability since we are going to be swapping out components. And aero. Go aero. Department focus durability, recruitment, engineering, department development, durability and aero. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and increase. Actually, we can do 3 of them. Driver performance review. Let's go chassis and aero and powertrain since we already have durability undercover. Fan rating, let's increase. Advertising, merchandise, plus short. And actually, 7-day facility cost investigation. Resource points each day. Advertising campaign. I want to increase my fan rating. That's the biggest thing for me right now. Go with that for our activities, since I believe we did miss them in episode 2. Messages, constructors points, milestone 75 points, solid weekend, owner training. We have another point. Yes, we do. Where is communication style, rate at which talks with drivers progress? Let's go with that. Get those driver talks going. Training activity unlocked. We'll see that another time. Fan rating, we are fan rating 2, on our way to fan rating 3. We have engineering research to go through. I I'm not sure where that marker is. Let's go ahead and do, I want us to do calipers. How much is that going to be for? No, that's already complete. Never mind. I want us to do improved energy store cells. What I want to do is I want to do something that's more of what we need. You know what? Let's just go with that and go from there. Development. Need facility improvements. Component management. All right. They're both pretty bad. 79. Let's go mayor first. 80%. I believe it's a sprint weekend that we're going into. Can I look at my compound, or I don't know if it is a sprint weekend in Miami. I have no idea. We will find out, but if it is a sprint weekend, then we're gonna leave these for the sprint race and then change them out for the feature race, because that's 74%, that's 64%, that's 71%, that's 80%. Let's go with combustion engine. You know what, let's just play it safe for both of our drivers. We don't want to risk anything. Facility improvements, we have a little bit of money. We do need to save those for upgrades. We don't have any parts to upgrade. Development. These are being developed right now, so we don't have any more parts to upgrade right now. So that's that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and head into this drivers meeting, and we'll see you guys for the race in Miami.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Sitting at the southeastern coast of Florida, the Miami International Autodrome has 19 corners and 3.36 miles of racing. It's a circuit designed to encourage close racing while meeting the highest safety standards. Either way, I'm sure it's one that will please the fans. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Piastri, Tsunoda, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Leclerc, Russell, Ocon, Jackson, and Pierre Gasly, Hadjar, Bortoletto, Fernando Alonso, and Hülkenberg, Lawson, Doohan, Carlos Sainz, and Alex Albon, Mayer, Behrman, Antonelli, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. And alongside me, a man, well, what more can I say? But he's a legend, Anthony Davidson. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. Now, we had great fun watching them win last time out. What a great victory it was. But can they carry that into today's race?
It's the important one, isn't it, Crofty? You've done it once, can you do it again? But, you know, if you start believing in yourself and the confidence starts to build, that inner confidence is what you need. And you can carry that through to future races, including this one. and you set that ball rolling. That's the critical thing that they're looking for here. And I believe if you've got that first race win or a win at any stage, it can start to roll with you in a good way.
Here we go then. The formation lap is underway ahead of today's sprint. We're almost ready to start the sprint as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
All right, here we are for the Miami Grand Prix, the sprint for the weekend. Playing as Aiden Jackson, if you guys hadn't already known. Pulling up to our grid slot, stationary in this position for longer than I expected while recording, as the rest of the cars. Callie Mayer not getting a good run in qualifying as Jackson's starting P9. 5 red lights are on, and we're off to a decent start. That's going to be Ocon to the right, Russell up ahead, and Gasly's trying to pull away on us a little bit. We're caught on the outside. That's where we want to be for turn 2. Turn 2, and then that second to last set of corners, that left-hander to the back straight. After the back straight, they're going to be the worst of our track worries with the curbs, as we see Bortoletto losing position to Gasly. They're side by side coming through the long left-hander. Verstappen pulling away from Norris, Piastri, Tsunoda, Hamilton, and Leclerc. And the gap is starting to form between myself and Jackson. So the top 8 are starting to pull away here for this sprint race. I could have gone with a lower downforce setup. We're sitting a 9.9 here. And then we set it for an 8.8 for the feature race. Callie Mayer sitting back in P19 after not having a good run in sprint quali. Back through Verstappen and Norris, starting their way down the back straight, looking really good. And I did want to let you guys know that we did opt out of using the SERPs launcher. We are now using the old-fashioned copy-paste method since we are having issues with liveries loading in the SERPs launcher. As we round out our first lap. So, moving on. Lap 3 on board with Lewis Hamilton. He's about half second back behind Tsunoda, and he's going to be the first engine failure for the weekend coming through here. Almost smashing into the wall there, pulling out, back out on the track ahead of Piastri. So that's going to be slowing a lot of people up. Leclerc manages to get through, and you can see how much of a mess it is. A lot of smoke here. Nobody can really see, as we can really feel how this car wants to get out from under us in the slow speed corners there in the overpass section. As we're back up to P8, head of Bortoletto. He's trying to make a move here. That's Russell ahead, trying to defend against Ocon, but we managed to get through for a double overtake as we come around the final corner, and about a half second ahead. That still leaves a 2-second gap between us and Piastri for the top 5. P8 now is the fight between Alonso and Russell behind us through sector 2, and I saw the timing table, and they were closing in really well behind me. As we see Alonso here on the inside of the corner, you can see us as Jackson lose a little bit of control there on the car, going through the hairpin. Alonso right up into our gearbox as we're getting ready to make that left-hander. Just put the power down, and for Alonso, that's going to be another engine failure. So that's 2 drivers out in this sprint race for the weekend, and that's going to be Russell with some front wing damage, actually. May have smashed into the back of him. We're going to go ahead and take a look here in a moment as we see Alonso park off to the side. on board with Russell, behind Ocon. Alonso's behind Jackson. See a lot of smoke here. Tries to make an overtake on Ocon. He just slams into the back of Alonso, losing front wing damage. That just means Russell's going to have to either push the rest of this race with a bad wing, as he just lost a position to Bortoletto, who's in the last spot for points on the sprint race. But Russell, unfortunately, goes into the pits to replace his front wing and get some fresh tires, possibly to get rid of the fastest lap from many of the top runners. But we're going to be on board with Callie Mayer, looking to try to make a move here in the back of the pack, just to see if there's some improvement behind the Ferrari. Or no, that's the Alpine, sorry. For the race, even though she is outside the points, but that is Jackson, I believe P6, for a handful of points for the sprint race.
So that wraps up the sprint race, but there's still more action yet to come this weekend. We've got qualifying and, of course, the Grand Prix.
All right, there we have it. The results for the Miami Sprint. Max Verstappen coming out on top, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc passing Yuki Tsunoda late in the race for that last podium spot for the sprint race. Aiden Jackson, we were driving as Aiden, and we were sitting back there, P8, P9, but the incident with Lewis Hamilton having the retirement there in the start of Sector 3, the overpass, that low-speed overpass section, I forget what it's called. But Hamilton retired there, holding on to P5 in the driver's standings as Aiden Jackson closes in on Callie Mayer, 36 points to Oscar Piastri's 38. In constructor standings currently, McLaren leading Red Bull by 5 points, and Konnersport still sitting back behind Mercedes as we have the sprint race. Neither Mercedes getting into the top 8 for that finish. And then the late retirement from Fernando Alonso, which gave Aiden Jackson a little bit of a breathing moment for that later portion of the race, keeping his P6 for the sprint. So we have some adjusting to do with our difficulty because of how the top 5 were pulling away. So we'll make sure to do that for the feature race, and hopefully it'll be a lot closer. So Gabriel Bortoletto, I believe, scored the first points for the team. For Sauber, I could be wrong. We're just double checking here. No, he did. He didn't. He scored his first point of the season. Hulkenberg scored 3 points to the team on the season. So see you guys for the sprint race.
We're here in the coastal shores of Florida for the Miami Grand Prix, which has become the 11th Formula One track held in the United States. The grandstands are packed for what we hope is going to be another fantastic race, with great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long, and expected average speeds of 138 miles an hour. The Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Aiden Jackson yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Russell, Callie Mayer and Sainz, Tsunoda, Bortoletto, Leclerc and Esteban Ocon, Antonelli, Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Stroll, Behrman, Lawson, Alex Albon and Jack Doohan, Hulkenberg, Hadjar, Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish. But let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Big pressure at the start of the race, Crofty, for all of them up and down the grid, no matter where you are. But the drivers these days, They practice, practice, and practice. They have rigs with them at the circuit where they can sit down with the actual steering wheel from the real car, and they've got lights that they react to. The clutch paddle is tailored around the driver's hands, around their fingers, so they can have optimum position before they start. So there's so much thought and effort that goes into getting these cars off the line.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres. As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
All right, here we are sitting in pole position, pulling up to our grid slot as Aiden Jackson, and I'm not sure how we managed to pull this off because we used the same difficulty that we did for sprint quality, and we got in the top 10, and Callie Mayer there sitting in P5 for the start of this race, and then Williams starting in P6. That is a Kick Sauber there in the bottom corner of the starting grid here in the top 10. That's going to be Bortoletto running a very good weekend compared to his teammate of Nico Hulkenberg. Lonzo Hamilton starting from the back of the grid because of penalties as the 5 red lights are off. And we're off to a not so great start. Verstappen on the inside. And Norris possibly trying to make it 3 wide, but he backs out, pushing back Russell. Mayer getting a position on Sainz, but Tsunoda manages to make a move. You can see him through the timing table as we're sitting in second place now behind Verstappen. And you can just see how much more downforce these cars have around these corners. As Verstappen starts to pull away, Norris tries to make a move on the outside as we're coming through turn 2, the left-hander into sector 2, sorry, as we try to put the power down. We are at a disadvantage starting on hard tires. It's going to be hard tires for myself and Callie Mayer, so we're going to be running an alternate strategy like we did last time around in Jeddah. That's going to be Russell, Norris behind 2 wide, and then Tsunoda is just sitting back there trying to wait for a position here as we're on board, starting to go through the grid. And the Ferrari livery, the Miami Ferrari livery, it actually looks pretty good. There's a handful of liveries for Ferrari on overtake that I could have chose, but we went with the classic from, I believe, nope, the mod is in the description as we're going through the rest of the grid. Hulkenberg, Erdouin, Hamilton, Hadjar, Alonso from those engine component changes in the middle of the weekend, so they had to take a grid penalty. And that's the point where I realized my mistake. I should have kept the engine components on the cars for both of my drivers, but we'll just wait till next weekend, put the cars parts back on, and take those early penalties so it doesn't hurt us later in the season as we're back on board with Jackson. Not a lot going on. Lap 9 now as we're on board with Callie Mayer fighting against Kimi Antonelli, who's behind her. See him in the mirror there on the right side trying to make a move. As he does, they both have DRS. Antonelli has the better pace. Too wide coming into this sector 2. I'm not sure what this sector is called, but it's the right before the underpass section. Callie Mayer loses that position to Antonelli currently here on lap 9 before the back straight. And you can just see how much power they have going down the back straight. It's just this rate in the race. Our medium tires, or our hard tires, are right in the window where we want them to be, where the medium tires are starting to act up. See if Callie Mayer can make a move out of the final left-hander from the back straight. Not really any opportunity there. Nobody in the pits yet from what I saw. We're going to go ahead and move on to onboard with Jackson yet again. Lap 13 now. Still on the hard tires. We've managed to break away from Norris a little bit. It's about a half second behind. Leclerc 2.7 behind Norris. So it's going to be a lot of gaps through that timetable, as you guys can see. But 9.5 seconds is the gap between Jackson and Verstappen. About halfway through this race, and you can just tell he's just way farther ahead than he should be. So we're coming through the overpass section. Intense now, and it seems like Norris is losing a lot of pace with those older tires as we start to pull away. We're still having a little bit of trouble on the right side tires, of right front specifically, just at this point in the race. About 70%, I believe it was, just screaming at me to really nurse them to the end of the race. Luckily, we were coming in at the end of lap 15, I believe it was. And you can see that slip there on the left-hander. A little bit too much curb for our liking. That's going to be Hulkenberg DNF, if you guys haven't noticed on the bottom. That's going to be Verstappen coming in to the pits onto a set of hards from the mediums as Norris and I continue on. Leclerc going to be passing Verstappen as well, I believe, or Sonoda. But at the end of lap 15, like I was saying, Verstappen is 2.3 seconds ahead already. He made that move on Norris earlier in the lap as we're coming in. What I was trying to say a moment ago, Hulkenberg DNF there in the bottom of the timetable. He actually did retire down the sector 2 DRS zone, like Alonso did in the sprint race, basically due to an engine failure for components. As we're going to be moving on to medium tires, as you guys can tell at this rate, Callie Mayer has yet to come in as well on those hard tires. I adjusted my strategy, so I wasn't sure if she was going to be coming in on the same lap, but the AI, they usually push that pit stop back a lap or so. As we're on the track now, almost smashing into the side of Leclerc. He's coming through that corner at speed, and we're trying to get speed coming out of the pits, so we give him the position and we get heat into our tires before we make a move on Leclerc through sector 2 here. A little bit easier to put the power down, especially on the softer compound tires. You can see how our car pushes through, getting heat into these tires. We're definitely going to be getting heat into these brakes coming through here, covering them off, trying to force them to the inside off the line as we easily retake that position, but there wasn't much fight there as Leclerc did, I believe, go into the pits already. As we're coming through the underpass section, or overpass section. Callie Mayer P5, Leclerc P4, Russell, Piastri, Sainz, Albon, both Williams currently in the top 10 as we're over halfway through the race. And now lap 19, we're finally caught up to Lando Norris. 13.6 seconds is the gap between Norris and Verstappen. We're already ahead of Leclerc by 3.7 as we take P2 into account. Callie Mayer dropped down to P9 after her pit stop, so she actually pit lap 16, I believe, at the end of lap 16. So she was dropped a few positions ahead of Russell by 1.7 as she's still inside the points. Lap 27 now is where we're really feeling the tire life of these mediums. You can see Mayer up to P8, Russell P9, Sainz and Williams P10, P11. Just unfortunate that I couldn't get both Williams drivers into the top 10 as we're looking to defend against Lando Norris coming through at the start of lap 28. A little bit of clipping going on through those tires. You could see through the tires at that certain angle, but we had to nurse these tires. Went out wide a little bit, as you can see Leclerc trying to close in on us as Norris takes that opportunity to overtake us and take P2 from us. So it's a lot of points that we lost there, but we're still holding on to P3 currently. As we move on to lap 29 on board with Jackson, you can see Leclerc still trying to close in on this final lap. He's going to have DRS. He's going to have an opportunity to make a move into the final corner before the finish of this race. No, that's not going to be enough for him. We're going to be able to finish in P3 with Aiden Jackson. Callie Mayer also finishes in the points with his future race.
And in the end, there was no Verstappen. Max Verstappen, he takes victory.
And it's always good, Crofty, to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Only 3 can take to the podium, and here they come. One of the all-time greats celebrates yet again. It's another podium, it's another top step for Max Verstappen. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.
All right, there we have it for the feature race results in the Miami Grand Prix weekend. Aiden Jackson getting on the podium, and it was actually a very tough race for us as Aiden Jackson. As you guys saw at the beginning of the feature race, he was just pulling away, and then that latter half, we were just taking care of those tires as best as we could. Going to be going over the results for the race. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Aiden Jackson. There on lap 27 and lap 28, Lando Norris swept under us and took P2 from us. And then Charles Leclerc almost had an opportunity down the back straight. Not quite close enough, as we do finish Aiden Jackson in third place. Piastri, Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton, Callie Mayer, George Russell, and Carlos Sainz to finish out our top 10. 4 points on the race for this weekend. I was in a little bit of a mix of words there. We had a retirement in the feature race from Nico Hulkenberg, and then Isaac Hadjar, I believe, he had a puncture. He was slow in sector 3 during a round of pit stops. I'm not sure what happened, but we went ahead and did commentary over what did happen. And just to recap, I don't know if it will show under Hadjar collision with Doohan. Okay, that's what happened. They had a collision with each other. But yeah, going into the standings for the race weekend result, Aiden Jackson has closed the gap on Callie Mayer for the driver standings, 6 points between them. Max Verstappen increasing his lead against Lando Norris, but they're still in the fight there. It's starting to become a two-man fight for the driver standings for the year, as 5 Brits in the top 7, and Yuki Tsunoda there in the Red Bull P9, and then Nico Hulkenberg, Gabriel Bortoleto. Bortoleto scored some points. Well, he was going to, it looked like, but he was just outside of the points, as Red Bull and McLaren at the end of this feature race are tied for first place, so they are in a constructors battle, as Ferrari is sitting in third place, and Konnersport is trying to close the gap on Ferrari. So that basically wraps it up for this Miami sprint race weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.